What happens chemically when we taste, for example, a lemon? What makes it different from when we eat a hot pepper? And why don't some people like the taste of broccoli and Brussels sprouts? We're going to explain how and why we can taste different flavors, specifically foods that are spicy, sour, and bitter. Starting with spicy foods. When you eat a chili pepper, your tongue might feel like it's on fire. The main component of spices that make them hot is capsaicin. The long hydrocarbon tails are what provide the intense flavor. Capsaicin compounds have variations in hydrocarbon tails, so that's why some spices burn in your mouth, while others burn in your throat. This hydrocarbon tail allows it to bind with its lipoprotein receptor, which has hydrocarbon side chains of its own. The fatty tail also allows the molecule to slip through lipid-rich cell membranes, which makes the burn more pervasive and persistent. So what exactly is happening in your mouth when you eat a chili pepper? Capsaicin binds to receptors on your tongue that detect extreme temperature and pain. It feels hot when you eat these foods because the receptors they trigger are usually switched on at temperatures higher than 42 degrees Celsius. These receptors then trigger the release of neurotransmitters, and then a message is carried to your brain saying that A, your tongue is burning, and B, it hurts. Basically, your tongue feels like it's on fire because your brain actually thinks it's on fire. Fun fact, capsaicin is insoluble in cold water, but soluble in alcohol and vegetable oils, which is why drinking water after eating a chili pepper won't stop the burning. You should drink milk, which contains casein, a lipophilic substance that washes away the fatty capsaicin molecules the same way that soap washes away grease. Now for sour foods. It's really based on acidity. Acids in food liberate hydrogen ions, aka protons, which determines the overall degree of sourness. When an acid is placed in a water solution like saliva, it increases the number of protons in that solution, mainly because it contains protons that can fall into the water. Most acids that show up in food products are organic acids, which are composed of oxygen, carbon, hydrogen, and an R group. Citric acid is an example of an organic acid, and it is what makes a lemon sour. It's a weak acid that produces hydrogen ions when you put it in water. You've all probably eaten a Sour Patch Kid before. Sour Patch Kids are composed of tartaric acid and citric acid. Tartaric acid is usually what makes candy sour. However, they are most notably in grapes. Once you've eaten, say, a Sour Patch Kid and hydrogen ions are released, these hydrogen ions will bind to acid-sensing channels in the membranes of taste cells, and when these channels are activated, they cause nerves to signal. Specifically, these ions will close potassium channels, which depolarizes the membrane. You'll find lactic acid in sour milk products like yogurt and cottage cheese. The casein in fermented milk is curdled by lactic acid. If you look on the list of nutritional information, lactic acid will be included under carbohydrates because this includes everything other than water, protein, fat, and ethanol. This means a value of 4 calories per gram will be used for any lactic acid in calculating the food energy. Finally, we have bitter. Bitter foods contain phenolic compounds which are present in fruit and vegetables and many plant-derived foods like coffee, beer, wine, chocolate, and tea. Phenolic compounds act as natural pesticides, which is why we usually avoid fruit and vegetables, especially brassicas like Brussels sprouts and broccoli. Plants use bitterness as protection from predators, but for humans, the bitter taste is a warning. Small doses of these substances may have health benefits, but in larger portions, they are toxic. Many alkaloids, which are usually toxic, elicit a bitter taste. Chemical compounds such as quinine produce a bitter taste by binding taste bud receptors that are grouped to G proteins. This activation initiates a signaling cascade that produces the bitterness taste in our mouths. Fun fact, children have more taste receptors than adults. The number of taste receptors decline with age. This is usually why children don't like vegetables, especially broccoli.
It's broccoli! Yucky!
For coffee, chlorogenic acids are present up to 8% in light to medium roast brews. Chlorogenic acid content decreases when coffee beans are roasted as they react to form quinolactones and melanoidins, which contribute to the bitter flavor. Regarding dark chocolate, many people believe that the bitter taste was caused by caffeine, which contains theobromine. However, chocolates contain catechin, which is found in cocoa and described as bitter with a sweet aftertaste. Also, dark chocolate has flavonoid and antioxidants that help protect cells. They are polyphomic molecules containing 15 carbon atoms and are soluble in water. Flavonoids reduce stress, risk of cancer, heart disease, etc. So it's never bad to treat yourself to a bar of chocolate, especially after learning some chemistry.